My name is Sarah. I'm 24 years old, and I inherited something I never should have touched. A house, 313 Elm Street. If you've never heard of that address, consider yourself lucky. If you have, then you know why I'm telling this story with all the lights on in my apartment, 3 states away from that cursed place. 6 months ago, I received a call from a lawyer I'd never met about a great aunt I'd never known existed. Aunt Margaret. Apparently, she died alone in her house and left everything to me, her only living relative. The lawyer seemed nervous on the phone, kept clearing his throat, like he was afraid to tell me something. I should have listened to that fear in his voice. I should have walked away. But I was broke, living paycheck to paycheck, and the idea of inheriting property seemed like a miracle. I had no idea I was inheriting a nightmare. The lawyer's office was in a small town called Millbrook, about 4 hours from where I lived. When I walked in, Mr. Henderson looked at me like he'd seen a ghost. He kept staring at my face, shaking his head, muttering something under his breath. "You look just like her," he finally said. "Just like Margaret when she was your age." He slid the deed across his desk with trembling fingers. 313 Elm Street. It's yours now. But Miss Sarah, I have to ask you something, and please don't think I'm crazy. He leaned forward, his eyes deadly serious. Have you ever had nightmares? Recurring nightmares about a dark house with creaking floors and whispers in the walls. My blood went cold. I'd been having those exact nightmares since I was a child. The same dream, over and over. A house I'd never seen, but somehow knew every room of. How did you know that? I whispered. He just shook his head and handed me the keys. Don't stay past 3:13 a.m., he said. Whatever you do, don't stay past 3:13. 313 Elm Street stood at the end of a dead-end road, surrounded by overgrown trees that blocked out most of the sunlight. The house was exactly like in my nightmares. Victorian style, 3 stories, with peeling paint and broken shutters. But seeing it in real life made my stomach churn with a familiar dread. The neighbors watched me from their windows as I walked up the cracked pathway. An elderly woman came out of the house next door. "You're Margaret's niece," she said. It wasn't a question. "You have her eyes. Her cursed eyes." "What do you mean, cursed?" I asked. The woman, Mrs. Chun, looked around nervously before answering. "That house, it feeds on people like you. People with the gift. Margaret tried to warn everyone, but nobody listened. She said the house chooses its inhabitants. Every night at 3:13 a.m., something wakes up in that house. Margaret used to scream every night at that exact time. For 40 years, we heard her screaming. Then one day, the screaming stopped. We found her 3 days later, dead in the basement, with that same terrified look frozen on her face. I should have left right then. But the rational part of my brain insisted these were just small-town superstitions. Besides, I needed to assess the property value. I told myself I'd just spend a few hours inside, maybe clean up a bit, then put it on the market. The moment I stepped inside, I felt it. A presence, like being watched by something that had been waiting for me. The house smelled of decay and something else, something sweet and sickly, like flowers left too long in water. Every room was exactly as I'd seen it in my nightmares. The faded floral wallpaper in the living room. The narrow staircase that creaked on the 7th step. The kitchen with its cracked tile floor and the basement door that was painted shut. But it was the photographs that stopped me cold. Dozens of them, covering every surface. All of women who looked exactly like me. Same dark hair, same green eyes, same facial structure. Different time periods, some in 1920s dresses, others in 1950s styles, and there was Aunt Margaret in 1970s clothes. But they all had the same face. My face. At the bottom of each photo was a date and a name. Eleanor, 1923. Patricia, 1956. Rebecca, 1971. And then Margaret, 1981. They were all family, generation after generation of women who had lived in this house. And they all looked terrified in their photos. I found Margaret's journal on the kitchen table, as if she'd been expecting me. The final entry was dated 3 days before her death. It's coming for me tonight. I can feel it getting stronger. The dreams are bleeding into reality now. Sarah will inherit this burden, just like I inherited it from Rebecca. God forgive me, but there's no way to break the cycle. The house has chosen our bloodline, and it won't let us go. I should have run. Every instinct screamed at me to leave. But I found something else in Margaret's journal. Insurance papers. The house was worth over $400,000. That money could change my entire life. I just needed to clean it up, get it appraised, and sell it. I decided to stay one night. Just one night to really assess the property and start cleaning. I called my friend Jessica to let her know where I was. "You're staying alone in a creepy old house," she laughed. "Very horror movie of you. Just don't get murdered by a ghost." If only she knew how close to the truth she was. I spent the afternoon cleaning and organizing. As the sun started to set, the house seemed to come alive around me. Floors creaked with no one walking on them. Doors that I'd left open were suddenly closed. And the temperature kept dropping, even though it was a warm October day. By 9 p.m., I was exhausted. I made a simple dinner and tried to ignore the feeling that something was watching me eat. Every shadow seemed to move. Every reflection in the windows showed something that wasn't quite right. At 11 p.m., I decided to go to bed. I chose Margaret's old room on the second floor. As I lay in the darkness, listening to the house settle around me, I kept checking my phone. 11:30 midnight. 1 a.m. I was starting to think the neighbors were just superstitious. Then 3:13 a.m. arrived. I woke up to the sound of footsteps. Slow, deliberate steps coming from the basement. But these weren't normal footsteps. They echoed wrong, like they were coming from much deeper underground than the basement should be. My phone showed exactly 3:13 a.m. The temperature in the room had dropped so much I could see my breath. And then I heard it. A voice. A woman's voice, calling my name from somewhere deep in the house. "Sarah, Sarah, come down here. I've been waiting for you." It was Margaret's voice. I knew it was impossible, but I recognized it from the old home videos I'd found earlier. Margaret had been dead for months. I tried to stay in bed, tried to convince myself I was dreaming, but the voice kept calling, getting more insistent. "Sarah, you can't hide from what you are. You can't hide from what this house needs. Come down to the basement. Come see where you belong." That's when I noticed something that made my blood freeze. The basement door, the one that had been painted shut for decades, it was open. Wide open, with darkness spilling out like thick smoke. I grabbed my phone's flashlight and walked downstairs. I had to know. I had to see what was down there. With each step, Margaret's voice got clearer and more real. "That's it, Sarah. Come closer. Come see your inheritance." The basement stairs were old and rotted. Some of them felt like they might give way under my weight. But I kept going down, deeper and deeper, until I realized something impossible. I'd been walking for 5 minutes straight down. The basement couldn't be this deep. And that's when I found them. The basement wasn't a basement at all. It was a cavern, a natural cave system that stretched far beyond what my flashlight could reach. And along the walls, carved into the rock itself, were dozens of alcoves. And in each alcove was a body, preserved perfectly, like they died yesterday. Eleanor from 1923, Patricia from 1956, Rebecca from 1971. And there, in the newest alcove, was Margaret. Her eyes were open, staring directly at me, and her mouth was moving. "Welcome home, Sarah," she said, though she'd been dead for months. "We've all been waiting for you. The house has been calling to you your whole life, hasn't it? Those dreams weren't dreams. They were memories, genetic memories of every woman in our family who's been claimed by this place." I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The other bodies started turning their heads toward me, all with the same face, all with my face. "You can't leave," Eleanor whispered from 1923. "None of us could leave. The house feeds on our bloodline. It keeps us alive down here, conscious, aware forever." "But don't worry," Margaret said, stepping out of her alcove. "You'll have a daughter someday, or a niece, or a granddaughter. And when you die, she'll inherit this place, just like you inherited it from me. The cycle continues. It always continues." That's when I saw the empty alcove at the end of the row. Fresh concrete, newly carved, waiting for me. I don't remember how I got out of that basement. I don't remember running up those stairs or bursting out of that house. All I remember is waking up in my car at dawn, 3 towns away, with no memory of driving there. I went back the next day with the police. They found nothing. No basement, no caves, no bodies, just a normal basement with a concrete floor and stone walls. The officers looked at me like I was crazy. Miss, there's nothing down there but some old storage boxes. But I know what I saw. And when I checked Margaret's will again, I found a clause I'd missed before. The house can only be inherited, never sold. It stays in the family, forever. I've tried to forget about 313 Elm Street. I moved 3 states away, changed my phone number, even legally changed my name. But every night at 3:13 a.m., I still hear Margaret's voice calling to me. You can run, Sarah, but you can't hide from your inheritance. The house is patient. It can wait. And the worst part? I've started having new dreams. Dreams of a little girl who looks just like me. A little girl I haven't met yet, but who will someday inherit everything I tried to escape. If you ever get a call about inheriting property from a relative you've never met, hang up. Some inheritances aren't worth claiming. Some houses should stay empty forever. 313 Elm Street is still waiting for Maine. And someday, when I'm old and tired of running, I know I'll go back. Because you can't escape your bloodline. You can't escape what runs in your family. The house always gets what it wants in the end.